Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the Refirement Zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Got a good one coming in. I like to think that all of our shows are great. So let's call this one super great. Okay, we'll just go down that road because it's going to be, stick around. I got a local legend back, 15th visit. I'm not going to say who it is just yet. Just hang in there, okay? But we're going to talk nutrition. And if I want to talk nutrition, it probably tips my hand. Last week, Craig Stiles, you know Craig, financial fitness guru, got all of our Refirement Zone money, taking care of business. 4 factors in financial fitness: discipline, purpose, strategy, and fear. Check that one out. Get the podcast. If you missed the broadcast, which if you're listening to this, you probably did. So you just go get that podcast, that thing that called a podcast. You know, it's all over the place. You can check it out. Get the video, get the audio, whatever you want to do. All right, that was awesome, and he's a great guy. This show, sit down, get ready. The journey to get healthier inside and out. This is coming off one of his old flyers. I have known this guy. This is one of my mentors. Guy has taught me so much. I've learned so much. I've used so many of his products. If you haven't been buying stuff from On Target Living, you're missing out. I mean, just if you're watching the video, look at both of us, okay? The reason that we both look so good is because we follow the plan. I mean, just follow the On Target Living plan with my brother from another mother, my mentor, the bodybuilding champion, Mr. Chris Johnson's going to be here. Chris Johnson is a nationally recognized speaker and author, has been forever, founder of and CEO of On Target Living. Kind of handed over a little bit of the reins to his son, Matt, who's doing a great job over there. Wellness consulting company that helps organizations achieve fitness goals and increase efficiencies. All kinds of good things. Sandy was the one who put the bug in my ear. She says, you know, you haven't done a nutrition show in a while. When your producer says, hey, you haven't done a nutrition show in a while, I say, hey, you know who I'm going to? I'm going to Chris Johnson. Because I haven't talked to Chris in a while, and we've had a lot of things we need to catch up on. So this is going to be a fun show. So well known across everywhere. I mean, of course, mid-Michigan. Chris holds a master's degree in exercise physiology from Go Green, Michigan State University. Certifications from American College of Sports Medicine. Guy's got like 50,000 hours of personal training under his belt. Not quite that, but you know what I'm saying? A lot of time in the gym. So the nutrition, the gym, the sleep, we're going to talk about it all. Get it right from the king's mouth. Around here, we have kings, okay? You guys go with this no kings thing? We have kings on my show, and this is one of them. I want to welcome back to my program for the 15th time. He started with us right from the beginning, now in our 15th season. Crazy. Mr. Chris Johnson. Chris, welcome back, my man.
Hey, thanks, Tommy. When you said 15 times, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
And tell Sandy, thanks for thinking about the nutrition piece, and you invite me back. But no, I'm happy to always chat with you.
I know you are. And, I've had Matt on recently, a little while ago. Got to get him back, too, and talking. Love pumping On Target Living. On Target Living and Chris Johnson change everything for us. Everything. The food target, all of it. We'll talk about all this stuff. We're really going to focus on nutrition, what we're doing with our nutrition, why we need to pick up our nutrition, what we can do better, what we can do worse, all these types of things. Just get it right from the man. Have some fun. Before we go there, though, you know how we do this show. This is your life. Time to let Chris talk about all his things. I have not talked to Chris in a while, and he's had a lot of life changes, as we all do as we're growing older. Grandchildren, downsizing, buying places in different states, all that good stuff. I mean, Chris, welcome back. Catch everybody up. Everybody loves you in mid-Michigan. So good to see you, man, and hear you. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, it's, again, as you talk about the Refirement Zone, but, you and I are in different seasons of our life. I turned 68 in a few weeks. And
happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And my wife, Paul, and I now have 6 grandkids. My son and my daughter, they're twins. They're going to be 40 in 2026. So it kind of sounds crazy, but yeah, so it's, the family is growing, but yeah, it's probably going to be it for the grandkids. I think 6 is going to be it. But Paul and I sold our big house. Like you and Sandy talk about that. We sold that last, I think it was November, and then we moved into a condo, which I didn't really like that well. So when we moved into a new home, and it's a smaller new home here in the Bath area. So yeah, so we have a lot of changes, and then we live up north in the summer. So that's what we do all summer. We live up at Douglas Lake, which is about 15 miles from the bridge. And as on target living, my son took over a few years ago. I still am traveling, speaking. I was in Vegas. I was in Florida. I'm still speaking and traveling, but just a lot less. And we do our podcast, which is the Rusty Move. So, and then he wants me to do a blog once a week coming up. So yeah, a lot less. I guess the different season where I'm still doing what I'm doing. I'm just doing a lot less of it and doing other stuff. So, but no, it's a great time of our lives.
Isn't it though, man? It's all about just refiring and just doing different things and new things. I met a guy at the gym. Chris Johnson's our guest today, everybody. I met a guy at the gym. I was in Wisconsin last week, Chris, and he was, me, man, just meeting new people. And he's the former mayor of Kaukauna, Wisconsin, where my daughter lives. And we're talking. He's 80 years old, and guy's just robust. And he says, yeah, I'm looking for something new to do. And I said, you know what? You are my man, because, you get to, if you stop doing things, everybody, you've got to really regroup, because life is too exciting, too fun. I mean, it's just like, and life is all about being active and just getting out there. And if you got 6 grandkids, we have 2, and that's probably going to be it for us. And that's fine. We're blessed to have 2. It's all about being there for them and all of our people out there. So yeah, I get it, man. It's a different phase of life.
And that's why I love that word, refirement. I mean, I say that all the time. Tom Matt talks about refirement. I'm not retiring. It's just doing different stuff. So
yeah. I got to ask you, how is Matt paying you well?
Well, we did a podcast the other day, and I was coaching him because he was going through all these blood tests. And then somebody says, how much does your son pay you? And I said, he pays me what he always pays me, which is nothing. So, my thing is, I'm still compensated from on target living a little bit, but my goal is as we sold our headquarters, is to really let on target living thrive. That's my goal, is to continue with the whole message and continue it on. So it's not about the money anymore. It's all about that. So yeah, but is he paying me? Not what I'm worth.
That's the thing about everybody. People get so focused on, the dollar. Chris, I've read this stuff. You probably read it too, where, the Harvard study with the happiness study, where it says X amount of dollars and you start to have that declining happiness. And it's not as much as people think. It's right around $80,000 to $100,000 a year, where people can live really comfortably, have a good life. Now, it depends on the part of the country that you're living in, of course, but hey, if you can't make it with that in New York or Boston, just move to Michigan. I mean, move to Wisconsin. Yeah,
and you're talking about Greg Stiles and your financial guru. It's the same thing. You've been doing this since Sandy. Paul and I have done a good job of, letting your money work for you. So the money's not a thing anymore. It's really more about giving back and sharing what we do. So, that's exactly what you do.
Your intrinsic value is so blessed. You're so blessed to have such a great heart, and you've helped me so much. I mean, I'm going to carry this through, Chris, because we got just a minute to go before break. But let me tell you a quick story, everybody. When I first met Chris Johnson with Reggie Reeder, which I just talked to Reggie recently, he's coming on the show too. Met Chris Johnson. He didn't know me from Adam. This was 16 years ago. Okay. 16 years ago, because it was before radio, and went to one of his speaking gigs. He was talking about his book, his, On Target Living book, and we were at the bookstore out in the Meridian Mall, and met him. Then I asked him if we could get together, and I hadn't even got certified as a trainer yet. I was picking his brain about getting certified as a trainer. We met. We had a 3-hour meeting. He showed me the Venn diagram. I didn't even know what a Venn diagram was. I got to find that middle part of that Venn diagram, and away we went, and it was just unbelievable. But the man gave me he didn't know me, 3 hours. Now, I've done similar things since learning these things from Chris, because intrinsically, when we do give back to people like a Chris Johnson, like a Matt Johnson, Paula, everybody, the whole family, I mean, you have this model that you build. That's why On Target Living will be successful no matter what, because Chris built the strong foundation. Nutritionally Refiring, we're calling this, with Chris Johnson. We'll be right back.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us back. I want to thank our staff for what they do. Mitch Anderson, our producer, doing all the audio stuff. Vanessa for doing all the video stuff, most of it anyways. And she's always clever young woman doing some cool stuff. Chris Johnson's with us. Nutritionally Refiring, we're calling this one, because you can refire nutritionally anytime in your life. Anytime. Don't sell yourself short. Before we get back into the curiosity that Chris was just talking about with how I was with him early on, let's talk about Brock Fletcher and the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Please listen up on this one. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you the story of how Brock and Mikey and the whole crew over there, they just have taken good care of us. They helped us get rid of and sell Big House Holt. It was great. Hit the number perfect. Found Little House Lansing, where we're recording this episode today. And it's been wonderful. It's been awesome. And you need to find people in the real estate business that you can trust, who pay extra money, who invest money in marketing way ahead of getting your business so that they can market your home efficiently. There's like 25 episodes on the reality of real estate on our website. Go listen to any of them. It's all free. Okay. It's all there. Keller Williams is awesome. Okay. They really, really are great. Here are a couple of phone numbers I want you guys to jot down. Office number 517-853-6408. His cell phone number, and I would encourage you to use this one, 517-303-3262, 517-303-3262, or you can go online to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Check that out. Sell your home without hassles. Just like I say, like we did, we trust them immensely. They are the bomb. Go listen to those podcasts, please, if you'd like. If you're in the market of upsizing, downsizing, whatever's happening. If you're new to the area, find people that can help you navigate. And lastly, I want to say thank you to our new fan of the show, who's been a fan of the show for a while, who's brought to us from Brock, Joan Wright. Joan, how you doing? Someday we're going to have coffee, even though I don't drink coffee anymore. Joan's from Williamston, and she's been a client of and friend of Brock's for a long time. Says she listens to our show on WKAR every week. I'm like, I sent her a thank you card. That's the way it works. You got somebody who listens to my show? Tell me. I'll send them a thank you card. I appreciate that very much. Chris Johnson's our guest today. I appreciate this guy so much. This guy, and I'm being straight with you, everybody. Chris Johnson helped me not only on the physical side of things with getting certified as a personal trainer. Now it's been 15 years for me. He helped us with the nutrition. He helped us with everything. All my supplements that I've kind of morphed into things. We've been buying wheatgrass from Montana. I just turned on this giant Facebook group to the wheatgrass phenomenon because, I just had my knee done and everybody's like asking me, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm doubling up on my wheatgrass. I'm healing. And my doc was so happy with my results. Chris, this is true. I just met him last week. I didn't tell him about the wheatgrass, but I know that partially healing is done through nutrition. So I was doubling up, tripling up on my wheatgrass. And in 3 weeks, I was like back in the big gym and the doc was like amazed. And I'm like, well, yeah, I had to go through some grinding, but what I'm saying? Why is it, Chris, that the wheatgrass is so effective when you're just like, for me, when I'm healing through this knee thing? I mean, I got the second one coming in a couple of days. And I'll be doing the same exact thing. Why is it wheatgrass is so great?
Well, wheatgrass is grown in the ground outside for, basically and when it's grown outside in the ground with natural sunlight, it absorbs minerals and it's, obviously chlorophyll. But when people buy wheatgrass, most wheatgrass is in hydroponically. So it has the chlorophyll, but it doesn't have the minerals. And so our wheatgrass is grown in the ground for 6 to 7 months. And that creates all the minerals, which is obviously with the healing and bone and connective tissue and everything else. So that's really the major benefit of the wheatgrass is the 90 plus minerals higher than anything else in the world. And it's the real deal. So, but that's it's one of the greatest things for gut health. But again, our society is really struggling with minerals, and that's where the minerals come from.
All right, let's start there then. You just give me this segue because today we're calling this episode, everybody, Nutritionally Refiring. Chris, can people refire nutritionally anytime in their life?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about, you and I are in this space and, we have our rest, eat, and move. That's kind of our mantra. That's the name of our podcasts. But when people get their nervous system more in tune, which is, the stress and the anxiety and all that, once they get that, now we can start really focusing on nutrition, because we are what we eat. People have heard this all the time, but what I always tell my clients, number one, is nutrition 101 is this. It's simple. What nutrients are you missing? In our society today, most people, as you know, are missing B vitamins. They're missing foods high in magnesium, which helps relaxation and sleep and blood pressure. They're missing minerals, which we just talked about, phosphorus and calcium, and again, magnesium, potassium, things like that. So, and then for most people, they're missing omega-3 fats. That's why we talk about cod liver oil. And so that's the first thing I work with people on, is like, let's get the nutrition piece started, and that's where we miss it. Number two is, what are you not absorbing? We don't eat nutrients, we eat food. And that's why we really promote the source. Where does it come from? So once you get people thinking that way, and then we, tackle what we just talked about, get them a little curious, and then go into their beliefs. They believe carbohydrates make them fat. They're not going to eat carbohydrates. So they're probably going to be missing nutrients. So that's how we begin. And that's where we help them understand that, when you're eating close to the source, nothing's off limits. And then we move into the hydration and macronutrients, and, the list goes on. But it's simpler than people make it out to be. We get in, I need methylation, and I need to do this and that. No, the human body is amazing how it will adapt and refire, as you mentioned, if you start putting it in a better position.
It's just better fuel. When you have better fuel, you will run at a more efficient rate. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah. I mean, you got better energy, you got better, everything, your muscles, your metabolism, you sleep better. I mean, your blood pressure goes down. I mean, the list goes on. So, and unfortunately, in our medical world, nutrition is still in an infancy stage, in my opinion. Because if you go and you have high blood pressure, the first thing you're going to do is give you an angiotensin drug, or a beta blocker, or a calcium channel blocker, whatever it might be. Reality is, these are the foods that are high in magnesium, or nitric oxide. These foods are high in nitric oxide, helps your vessels relax, or, you work on your breathing, that kind of thing. So I still believe that when we look at prevention, it's still in an infancy stage. As you know, there's not a lot of money in it. But I think more and more people are on that tip that they don't want to be heavily medicated. You and I are in that range. I mean, I'm 2 years away from 70. A lot of people I talk to and coach and speak to, they don't want to be heavily medicated. So they have to look at food as, their medicine. And I think more and more people are starting to understand that. And then you got the other side, which is the Ozempic and Wegovy's and, all these meds. And I don't want to do the work. But as you talk about, especially with your knee replacement, it's going to be work for you to get back where you want to be.
I'm going to reset this thing because we're going to break here, everybody. Nutritionally Refiring. On Target Living. On Target Living. If you haven't gone to On Target Living's website, if you haven't tried wheatgrass, like I said, the Facebook group, I turned on one of the physical therapists to it. He's, how do you get it? Just go to On Target Living. It's easy. Chris Johnson, Matt Johnson, they're the kings. I'm Tom Matt. We'll be right back.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Tom Matt Show. I am your host, Tom Matt. Thank you, Sandy, for doing the bumper, bringing us back. Nutritionally Refiring. We're calling this one with my bro, Chris Johnson, king, legend in the mid-Michigan area. Well, legend all over the country. He has spoken so many different places. We got all kinds of things that we want to talk about. But before I go there, I got to give a quick testimonial again to Brock and his team over there because he's helped us so much with things. This is a quick one, so just hang in there. I'm going to get back to Chris real quick. Brock Fletcher and the selling team have been absolutely stellar in giant bold type. You have our business for life. That's from Jeff and Tammy and DeWitt. Here's another one. Our experiences with Brock Fletcher and the selling team was amazing. Numerous times Brock Fletcher went above and beyond, bold type, to ensure our needs were met. Not only did the selling team sell our home in 4 days, sounds like big household to me. They also helped us and find our dream home. Sounds like Little House Lansing in a weekend. So glad we chose the selling team. That's from Eric and Laura in Lansing. There's just hundreds. He's got more positive reviews on Google. He's got like 600 positive reviews that's a lot on Google. It just says a lot about their integrity. They're just good people. Again, phone numbers. I'm going to give you the cell phone number first. Use this number. Text Brock, leave him a voicemail, whatever you want to do. 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262. And the office number again is 517-853-6408. And I'm going to say, Joan, I said hello to you in the last break. And here you go again. There you go, Joan. Joan Wright from Williamston. I know you like hearing your name on the radio. Nutritionally Refiring. Joan, this is a good one for you, okay? Because I know you're right there with Chris and I. Nutritionally Refiring. And Joan, if you haven't gone to On Target Living, you need to do that, okay? Chris Johnson, Matt Johnson, great team. All right. I forgot to go back to what you were saying in the first segment there, my brother, about when we were talking, we first met, you were saying, I was just curious. I want to let you carry on with that. I've been talking a lot, and I want you to kind of carry the rest of the show for me. But when you have a curious mind, what happens?
Well, again, we always talk about beginner's mind. If you're speaking to a third grade class and you ask them some questions, every hand will go up. But as we become adults, many times we start losing that curiosity for a lot of different reasons. But, no matter what area you're in your life, when you go to see your primary care doctor or your financial advisor, but the more curious you are, the more questions you ask, in the question reveals the answer. And that's where the dialogue starts getting. And you're like, oh, I never thought of that before. So when I sit down with people and talk to them about nutrition many times, I have to start uncovering and really talk about curiosity at the very beginning. So, for example, if my cholesterol is out of balance, you got to ask the question, why? What's causing that? Or if I am not sleeping or my energy level is low or whatever it might be, you start asking the why and what's behind it. And then from there, you go into the beliefs, because a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. And once you uncover those two, now we can start getting somewhere and then really start talking about strategies and tactics to help people on their journey, because everybody's in a different place. And I always talk about that, growing up, I was not a healthy eater. But as I changed when I was eating, my skin got better, my digestion got better, and that was kind of my aha moment going into. And so that's why I was really excited to talk to you, because you went to school later in life, as I did. I went to grad school a little bit later. But as you get that curiosity, then everything's possible. And I think that's what people understand, no matter what age you are, you always can improve. And that's what I always tell people. It's a journey, and then you try to make it your own. I think that's where people get stuck. Like, I'm trying this diet and that. Well, it's not going to last because it's not your own and it's not what you want to do. So that's kind of where I begin with people, the curiosity, the beliefs, and then we get into the tactics and strategies and where they're currently at, and then what are some of the next steps.
What's your feelings with, you mentioned Ozempic and some of those drugs that are out there, and I have my own kind of thought on this, and I talked to Justin Grinnell about this on one of the shows I did with him, and personally, I have my feelings, but I'd like to hear your take on that and some of those, because I think they can be useful in a way, but I want to hear your take before I give you my spin.
Yeah, so, my whole, I'm not an anti-medication person. I think medications can fit a role, but 90% of what we take from a medication standpoint is fixing the symptom. You have a headache, you take ibuprofen, or, reality is you're probably dehydrated and lacking magnesium. If my blood pressure is too high, your nervous system's out of balance and you're lacking certain nutrients. So my way as a private investigator, I'm like, let's just step back for a second. If you are medicated, not asking anybody to get off of medication, but let's look at it a little differently. And maybe one of your goals is you want to wean. I've never had anybody not get off a statin medication, working with their doctor, if they want to do that. So to me, whether it's Ozempic and Wegovy and, all these different, diabetes medications, diabetes is not only preventable, it's reversible. But it's pretty easy to go down that path. And so that drug might be beneficial for somebody in extreme cases. My thing is, in our society, as you know, that when you start doing this, you create paralysis in the gut. You start losing muscle. And as we age, the thing we want to hold on to or improve upon is muscle. And that's where these drugs are going to get sideways, in my opinion, down the road. So extreme cases, yes. But to me, I've seen it. I've seen people take their A1C from over 10 to, under 7. And I've seen it do it naturally. So I believe that it's possible to do it. And I believe it's possible to do it in a sustainable way. But as we're seeing it in the world today, whether it's TRT and Ozempic and whatever, it could be a path, but to me, it's too easy. And so people will choose that path. And reality is, when you choose easy, it's going to get hard. If you choose hard, it's going to get easier. And that's why I like when I'm seeing you with your knee replacement, I see the stuff you're putting out there. You're putting in the work.
It's a grind.
And there's really no other choice if you want to get to where you want to be. So anyway, that's my feeling on some of the medications out there. Fixing the symptom, not fixing the source of the problem, could be a tool, but it's not where people begin.
Very, very close to what my feelings are with this, probably because I learned all this stuff from Chris and then continued to learn. My feeling on this is similar to what Chris was just saying. In extreme cases, if it can be a catalyst to that next thing for you, but that's it. I mean, that's it. It's just a tool, but you got to put in the work, everybody. You got to put in the work.
And you got to get a little uncomfortable, as you said. You got to put the work in, get a little uncomfortable. But, it's like you and I, when we competed in bodybuilding, it's uncomfortable, but it's really a pretty exciting journey.
I looked at that picture. I have a picture framed in our house in Wisconsin, and I posted it on our story on Facebook the other day. And it's just like, it's 15 years ago, my once and only with Chris Johnson. It was such an experience. Chris got us in there. Reggie was there. It was so awesome. And it just proved that, you climb these mountains, everybody. And that's the thing. I was a rookie with Chris Johnson, never done this before, rookie at just about 51 years old. It's just amazing. Chris, I only got about a minute to go before break, but when we come back, I want to talk a lot about the food target, because the food target it was the beginning of the whole thing. Can you set that up, please?
Yeah. So, when I worked at the Michigan Athletic Club, I was director of health and fitness, and we had one of the largest personal training programs in the country. And this was back in the 90s and early 2000. But people were struggling with diets, and everybody was on a diet. And, I was working with one of my mentors, Al Arns, and we were talking one day, and I was like, I was developing this like stoplight with the target. And so we started morphing with that, and we looked at, how do you get people to upgrade? Here's the red area, which is kind of foods that are not healthy for you, and then the green are the go. And so we started morphing with that, and then that led to, we kind of had different editions of it. And then it was a simple tool that people could start understanding how to upgrade versus making it more difficult. So that's the genesis of the food target in 1994.
We'll talk about it when we come back, everybody. It's a lot more detailed than that, but it's something that you can just put on the refrigerator. We had ours on the refrigerator for years. Our guest today are going to reset this, and we're going to go to break. Chris Johnson, the founder of On Target Living, Nutritionally Refiring. We're always going to be refiring, everybody. Join the club, because if you're retiring, fine. If you're refiring, wonderful. This is the Tom Matt Show.
This segment of the Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Ark of All and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Excited. Great show today. I love having Chris Johnson on the show. I'll do my best to get him on more. If you want to see more of Chris Johnson, Matt Johnson, go to their podcast. Chris will tell you all about it right here, because I'm going to have him share all of his contact info. You want to get him for speaking engagements, some coaching, maybe some personal training, whatever he's doing, because we're always refiring. We're always like regrouping. We're always trying new things. I'm doing it. It's always fun. How do you want people to contact you and Matt there, Chris? What's the lowdown?
Well, I think the easiest thing, as you mentioned, Tom, is just go to our website, which is ontargetliving.com. We also have a podcast that comes out every week And the podcast is titled, which the name of the book is Rest, Eat, Move. So if anybody wants to reach out to us, we have a free audio. All of our videos are free. Podcasts are free. And this is my latest book, Rest, Eat, Move, which is about 365 pages. And the audiobook, again, if you send us an email at ontaroliving.com, we'll send you the audiobook, and it's 13 and a half hours of my voice. So, and as we were mentioned earlier, this is the food target. And so this is a free download on our website. On the backside is the movements. But again, as I started talking about this at the very beginning, it was just a tool, as you mentioned, to help people understand, whether it's a third grader or somebody's very sophisticated, you're just trying to upgrade. And I think people like that. You know, when I speak around the world and I'm telling them what to eat or not to eat, I'm telling them, what are you currently doing and how do you make it better? And people like that thought process. So if you talked about coffee earlier, if you do drink coffee, then you probably want to buy organic and coffee. And if you put a creamer in it, buy a better creamer. So that's really the genesis behind the target. And it's forgiving. People have to understand it's not about being perfect. It's about slowly upgrading and be forgiving about it. So anyway, that's the genesis behind the target. And that's the name of our company, what was named basically from the food target. So I met a branding guy, and that's how we all began. But if they want to get a hold of us, just go to our website, ontaroliving.com. You'll see our e-commerce. If you want to order cod liver oil or wheatgrass or whatever, we have an amazing e-commerce manager named Abby. You can actually pick up the phone and talk to her or talk to me or Matt. So we're very accessible. And that's really one of our goals, is to help people any way we can.
They're good people. They're good people. I mean, they're real. That's the whole thing. All right, so let's describe the food target for our radio people. And that Chris was, for our radio listeners, Chris was holding his food target up, and I want to have him describe it to our radio listeners in detail. So, Chris, let's just start at the top. I mean, it's broke into three different components, and it goes from the outside in. It's just a target, everybody. So,
yeah, so big. Envision this as it's a big circle. And the red, which is the pour, is in the outer rim. And then I go to a slightly more kind of a yellowish color.
Give us some examples. Give us some examples of those foods. Like, talk about fats in the red zone, Chris.
Well, in the red zone, might be like a Jif peanut butter. It's a trans fat, very unhealthy. Or seed oils. You know, people talk a lot about corn oil and canola oil, whatever. That's going to be the outer rim. So it's broken into three macronutrients, carbohydrates at the top, and then we have fats and proteins. So if you took a fat and you said, okay, how do I make that better? Well, you know, I like peanut butter, Chris. Well, let's not eat the processed hydrogenated trans fat. We can slowly move to the center, or maybe we move into an almond or a cashew butter. So now we keep moving towards the center, and I'm not getting rid of anything. I'm just making it better. If I'm eating over here in the proteins, they're no different. If I'm eating a hot dog or a bacon, maybe I go to a nitrate-free bacon. I maybe move in a little bit, but then we move into the middle, and you got wild Alaskan salmon and organic chicken and, you know, nuts and seeds and things like that. So that's what it's broken down into three macronutrients, and then you're just slowly taking a look at what. And it's amazing. People say to me at the beginning, well, what about this food? I said, well, I can't fit every food in the target, but you get a gist: fruits, vegetables, you know, or, you know, ancient grains. Those are going to be more in the center of the carbohydrates, and the same thing with proteins and fats. So it's just a tool to help people be more intentional about how they eat. And again, it's funny because many of the kids will say to their parents, hey, you're eating in the red area. So they become the food police, and they're saying, hey, I need to eat more in the green area. So anyway, that's on our website. It's a free download. You can get a feel for that if you're listening to the radio.
It's just the whole thing, everybody. It's so simple. I got to say, because when we were over in Wisconsin this past week, Lauren, our youngest daughter, she's 28 now. She's little by little. It's kind of interesting to see how these young people start making their own decisions, and she's eating better slowly. Like Chris is saying, it's very, very gradual. We want this to be
yes.
Incremental change, everybody.
Yeah.
Right, Chris? Sustainability.
That's one of our taglines, one small step at a time. The goal is you're trying to build habits that you can repeat. You know, and we talk a lot about that. Like, if you go from being in the red area and then you try to go right to the green, it's going to be very difficult. But if you can slowly transition that way, like your Lauren is, then you're going, okay, that's not that painful. And so that's the key. We're trying to create a lifestyle, not a diet. And that's the genesis behind the Food Target. You're just incrementally making some upgrades. And I look back, probably like you and me both. You went to Everett, I went to Sexton. I thought eating, Captain Crunch cereals with the Crunch Berries was not that bad. And that was probably in high school. So today it's, oatmeal on the run with cacao nibs and coconut, and, it's a lot different. Wheatgrass in the morning, cod liver oil, a lot different than back in the, early 70s and what we're eating today.
I just thought of something here because we both went to high school about the same time. We're very close in age. If we would have had the Food Target, if we would have known in the 70s what we know now, would we be bigger kids? Would you get hurt as much? Because you're right. I mean, if there was Captain Crunch in the cupboard, it was gone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just gone.
Well, it's interesting. Like when I was at Sexton, we could go out for lunch. You could go to McDonald's or Burger King. But all of us that played football and sports, we all ate the cafeteria meal, which was so much better. And the lunch ladies, again, being biased here, but they were lunch ladies, and we knew them like our mom, and they were incredible. And that was all homemade stuff. So even though we didn't really know what we're doing, at least we're eating homemade. And my daughter, Kristen, always says, if you eat more at home, that's half the battle right there. So we didn't know what we were doing, but we were eating our lunches in the cafeteria at Sexton way back in the day, and we loved it.
Talk about Kristen a little bit with her expertise and things that she says. She's a wonderful chef, and talk about her for a second. We got a few minutes to go here because it fits into our Nutritionally Refiring. She's helped a lot of people with what she's done.
Yeah. So Kristen is my daughter. It's Matt, my son and my daughter. They're twins. And Kristen's a professional chef. She's a registered dietitian, and she worked at Ontario Living for a handful of years. And then she became the governor of Michigan's personal chef for a couple of years. And then her family moved back to Chicago, and that's where their family is now. They have 3 kids, her husband, Sean. But as they moved back to Chicago, she went to work for a private group that sells high-end kitchen appliances and stuff like that. So she's a professional chef then. But the good news for us is Matt is bringing her back as a speaker starting in January. So we're really excited about bringing her back as one of the speakers at the beginning of the year. But yeah, my wife just got back from Joshua Tree out in California. She did a yoga retreat. She did all the meals for them, and that's her expertise. And she does a lot of women's events. She's a very dynamic speaker. But yeah, we're really excited to have her back. But yeah, her skill is food prep, all that stuff on top. And she brings the dietitian healthiness to it, but she's bringing my wife's taste to it. So it's kind of marrying the two together, which really, when we talk about food is love, food is social, but food is medicine and information for the human body. And when you pair those 4, that's a home run.
I like that a lot. So, okay, so say that again, because we're going to go to break here in about a minute. Food is love. What were the 4?
Food is love. Food is social. My wife's Lebanese, been married 43 years. So if you just took all that away, the love and the social, it's not going to work. Because we know parties and weddings and graduations and everything's around social and love. And then for me and you, we're like, we don't really care. We just want fuel. But food is also medicine and information to the body. And when you pair those 4 together, and that's the home run. So when Kristen makes nutrition foods, or Matt or my wife Paula, she knows I want the health, but we also want the taste. So when you do that together, when people say, like, we'll bring them over and we'll have them have certain meals, and like, those pancakes you made, what's in those? Well, we had organic applesauce and real oats and real bananas, and everything's real, and there's nothing unhealthy for it. And then we get maple syrup from Mason. It's kind of a home run. So that's where I think people look nutritionally. You have to be so militant, and it doesn't have to taste good. When you pair those 4 together, that's the success, in my opinion.
On Target Living, and this is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262. or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. I want to thank radio stations all over the state. Michigan Talk Network, for one thing. Steve and Ivy Gruber for carrying us on the Michigan Talk Network for like ever. I mean, it's been a long time now. But there's stations that have carried us in the past. I'd like to mention the stations that have carried us. Even if they don't carry us, I don't care. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be on any radio station. And so all of these stations I'm going to mention have carried us at some time or are still carrying us. WGHN 92.1 in Grand Haven, WJIM 1240 AM in Lansing plays us multiple times on weekends. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids carried us for years and years and years. WKLQ 1490 AM in Muskegon, Whitehall. WYPV 94.5 up in Mackinac City. And of course, 5 o'clock Sunday afternoons, just like Joan Wright's listening to all the time, every week, WKAR AM 870, the big flamethrower at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 870 and 103, simulcast at 102.3 FM. There you go. Okay. There you go. Thank you to all the radio stations. Chris Johnson's our guest today, everybody. Nutritionally Refiring. I wish I could have this show this is one of my Joe Rogan moments when I'd love to do like a 4-hour podcast with my great friend, Chris Johnson, because we're rolling so hard and we'll be done so quickly. It's like, but I have more to talk about. Chris, you were just talking about those 4 items. Food is love, social, medicine, information. I just found that I don't think I'd ever heard that before. And I've got huge right in the middle of my notes here. And I'd love for you to kind of explain that. And you were talking a little bit about epigenetics during break. Please explain that a little bit deeper for everybody. Would you please?
Yeah. So when people think of nutrition, you got 2 camps. I want this to taste really good, and then I want to be super healthy. Well, okay. What if you could have both? So the love and the social is okay. You're making food. It's social. It's love. It's all that stuff. But then can we make it healthier? Because food is, medicine for the body. No doubt about it. When you give omega-3 fats, you B vitamins, and that's medicine. That's the raw material for the body to the mind and body all connected. Gut health, you talk a lot about that and stuff. And then it's information. Mm-hmm. We talk about epigenetics, which is above genetics. People say all the time, well, I got bad genetics. Well, I probably disagree, because your behavior trumps genetics. So that's called epigenetics, and that's information. So when you put those 4 together, love, social, medicine, and information, now you're kind of singing. And so now my body is doing what I want it to do, but I'm not giving up anything. I'm just, and my wife will tell you, if, his last supper would be probably XYZ, and it's not eating a bunch of crap. So I think when people slowly move that, and this too, as you eat healthy, your taste buds start to change. That Jif peanut butter, when I grew up on, it tastes like sugar now. It just doesn't taste good at all. So that's where we start transitioning. And like your daughter, Lauren, it's just a slow transition. And that's really the magic of when you teach people how to fish. And that's what we're trying to talk about today.
The blue zones, if you read this, my guest today, everybody, is Chris Johnson, founder of On Target Living. Nutritionally Refiring is the title of this episode. 15th time he's been on this radio show. He's been with us all along, the whole time. I mean, he's helped me before I was a personal trainer, and that was 15 years ago. So there you go. But, Chris, I've read so much and talk about the blue zones. The blue zones, one of the big factors of the blue zones, and this is, if you don't know, and Chris will explain what the blue zones are, is like one of the big things of the blue zone people that are successful with their aging, their pockets all over the world that they call the blue zones. And they're people, and they studied these people like, how are they living so long? And they're so healthy, and they're so robust, and they're working, they're active. It was the eating, it was the social that you were talking about, the Mediterranean, the Mediterranean kind of thought process, right? Can you talk about the blue zones?
Well, the blue zones, as you mentioned, are pockets around the world. And what they really were looking at is that people that lived a certain lifestyle, wasn't genetics. That's the whole thing about blue zones. Once they live in this pocket and they adopted these healthy lifestyles, they live longer. And they're not only living longer, they're living vibrantly. I mean, if you ever watch any of that stuff, look at it, and you see these guys riding horses or women doing this and that. It's incredible. So to me, I think as people age, it's not about just aging. It's about vibrancy. I mean, you and me both, I still want to snow ski and water ski. But that's where nutrition comes in. Jack LaLanne always said that, nutrition is the queen and exercise is the king. I would kind of reverse that. I would look at nutrition as king, exercise as queen. I would reverse that a little bit, because when you think about nutrition, it's still in the infancy stage. We don't really understand that. But when you look at food as medicine and information, wow, we start putting it together. And I've seen transformations. You've seen transformations when people start changing this stuff. So, but you got to do it in a way that people want to move in that direction. And I think that's the challenge in our society today. They think they either have to eat all this that they think tastes good, but it's not healthy. And the reality is you can have both.
Well, it's starting with the food target. And again, download that food target. It's a freebie, everybody. But you don't want to jump from the red outside of the food target to the green of the middle. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable whatsoever.
Jack, so you have access to our audio. Again, shoot us an email. We can send you, and in fact, Tom, I can send it to you too for your posse, and I can give you everybody the audio book you can have. So
love it. I appreciate that. I wanted to give Chris plenty of time. We were talking throughout the show on break, and he had something that he wanted to share with us. I want to give him plenty of time to discuss these things as a takeaway. So we're going to do a giant takeaway, because Chris Johnson has helped us so much. He knows his stuff. I mean, he is the man. And that's it. The 5 things. He had 5 things that he wanted to share. You got a good 5 minutes here, bro. We'll talk about that. Let's go for it. What were those 5 things you'd like to talk about?
When I sit down with people, you want to make it simple. Like, how do I make this simple walking away? So number 1 today is focus on what you drink. Just be intentional about it. How much water are you drinking? 50 ounces a day is the minimum. People say half your body weight. Just start with, are you drinking 50 ounces a day? And look at what other beverages you consume. You talked about coffee earlier, whatever, but just really be intentional about what are you drinking? Energy drinks are off the table. If you're drinking soda pop, start limiting that. There's lots of ways you can improve that, like a mineral water with a shot of juice. But that's where I begin. Water with lemon is incredible for gut health, pH balance. But start with your beverages and make sure you're getting your water. That's where we begin. Start with your water, make sure you're getting enough. Then from there, we look at what nutrients are you missing. So when I sit down with people, the first thing I look at, are you consuming omega-3 fats? That's the cod liver oil. That's the flax seeds. That's the walnuts. Don't make it harder than that. Get that in your diet. It's good for brain health, heart health, inflammation, hormones. Then from here, on top of the other superfood we recommend is get some chlorophyll in your diet. That's greens. That could be bok choy, spinach, kale, broccoli, asparagus. We would like to promote, as you mentioned, wheatgrass, spirulina cruella. Get greens. So I go, what am I drinking? What superfoods am I missing? The omega-3s and the chlorophyll, the greens. And then from there, number 3, we start looking at upgrading what you currently are eating. Pull out that food target. Whatever you're eating or drinking or whatever, how do I make that better? How do I upgrade it? Make it better, okay? Number 4, I want you to fast 12 to 14 hours overnight. It's not hard. We don't have to do intermittent fasting. That can be great if you know what you're doing, but that's something you need to know what you're doing. But everybody can fast overnight, 12 to 14 hours. That's called autophagy, allows the body to clean. And the last one is the 80-20 rule. This is my daughter talks all the time. If you're going out to dinner, you're going out to a party, whatever, just be intentional. If I want a glass of wine, I want the bread with the olive oil, don't just let it go. Be intentional about that. 80% of the time I'm dialed in, 20% of the time I'm letting my hair down. So again, holidays are coming, Halloween's coming, Christmas, Thanksgiving. The goal is you're trying to create a lifestyle that you're not 50-50, you're more like an 80-20. So those are the 5 things I like to teach that people go, hey, I can do that. I can do that. And that's really where you start creating some momentum and then some habit building. And that's really where start people getting excited about that.
One thing we have done, Chris Johnson's our guest today, everybody, Nutritionally Refiring. One thing we have done, Chris, when we go out for dinner is I never finish my meal anymore. I always take half my meal home and never touch the bread. If they bring bread to the table, I say, I don't need it. Just take it away. I don't even really eat much bread at all anymore. And it's just one of my personal choices, but it's being, like Chris is saying, being intentional, going in there with, once you get used to this, once you understand it, you don't have to eat all that food that's put in front of you.
But like Tom, like you said, you are intentional about taking that food home. You are intentional. If I'm going to eat bread, the only bread I'm going to eat is my wife's or my daughter's sourdough bread. So I'm going to be intentional about that. Or if I want a cocktail or a glass of wine, I'm going to be intentional. Tonight, I'm not doing that. But if I want that, then there's the guilt zone is gone, right? And I think that's where people get, coming in, I'm good. But if I do wish to do that, I'm enjoying it, and that's really where people get sideways. So I love what you just said there, but I'm intentional about when I go out to dinner.
Chris, give us another just close with your website and everything, and then I got to go because we got a minute to go here. Chris Johnson's been our guest today, Nutritionally Refiring, everybody. Awesome. We'll have him back. Please give me 45 seconds.
Yeah, so it's just our website, ontargetliving.com. We have an audiobook that I'll send that to you, Tom. My Rest, Eat, Move book is 365 pages of basically my life's work. On our website, we have, and again, you can share this with your audience. We have a bunch of downloads. We have Know Your Numbers. We have the Food Target. We have lots of different things here. Also, we have a phone number. So if you want to call us, that's 517-325-1143. So there's always somebody at the end of the line that you can pick up and talk to. So yeah, we're happy to help you. We're on a mission. I'm in a different season, and feel blessed to have the opportunity to talk with you and your listeners today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you with a topic or a guest like a Chris Johnson on Target Living. I mean, you just heard the master. He's helped me, why we're doing so well, why I'm recovering so quickly with my knee replacements, which in 2 days I'm getting the second one done, and it's amazing. And what's going to be happening is my life is changing. It's going to be great. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks again to Chris, Sandy, Craig, Brock, everybody that supports the show. We'll talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Go to On Target Living, OTL. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.